All right, guys, I just sat through Harley Davidson's quarter three business update call for 2021. I'm going to break that 45-minute call down and give you the top 5 things I learned in that call in less than 10 minutes. Everybody always says cash is king, so let's start there. We're going to take a look at the revenue slides first. This is the revenue slide for Q3 2021, and it's showing us the Q3 results versus previous year. The motorcycle segment is up 20% and financial services is pretty much flat with only a 2% gain. Of course, the stock market analysts were happy to report that revenue is up and Harley made $163 million in quarter three. But what does that really mean to us, the customer? Were unit sales up? Were costs down? Or did they make a lot of money from that surcharge fee they introduced last quarter? Let's listen to the explanation from the CFO.
Despite absolute unit decline versus 2019, profit per unit has increased behind a stronger mix, pricing, lower incentives, and an overall lower cost structure. These results validate the efforts that we took during the rewire and have set up a more profitable foundation for future growth.
Sounds like revenue is up because of an increase in unit sales over 2020 with a better mix, meaning they are selling more profitable models like the touring bikes and not as many of the less profitable models like the Sportsters. And don't forget, pricing increases and a reduction in incentives also helped. Of course, revenue is driven largely by the volume of sales. So let's take a look at that and see how 2021 is stacking up against 2019. Because to be honest, 2020 was a kind of a shit year for everyone. But for Harley Davidson, on top of the pandemic and plant shutdown, they faced restructuring under new leadership, and they did not launch any new models in 2020 since the launch date was moved to first quarter of 2021. Here you can see worldwide sales are down 6% for quarter three versus prior year, but year to date is up 9%. North America is the only market that is up, and luckily it is up 25% year to date. In this next audio clip from the Q&A session, you can hear them answer a question, and they discuss being able to meet demand in those other markets outside the U.S.
So if you look at our share position internationally, we certainly have lost ground. We have been most affected by the difficulty in shipping to those markets. In North America, our share position would indicate that we have somewhat managed to keep up with demand, but I think it is fair to say, as we look across the balance of all of those factors, and as you consider what we are hearing from our dealers, that there is some volume loss that has occurred, or some market demand, let me say more appropriately, that we have not been able to necessarily fulfill in Q3.
It sounds like demand was higher outside the U.S. than Harley Davidson could meet due to shipping difficulties. It was also reported this last week that Indian motorcycles and slingshot sales were down as well, and losses were driven by a lack of product availability during the quarter, also driven by the supply chain challenges. Quarter two and quarter three inventory levels are relatively flat, but down considerably from the previous years as Harley Davidson continues to manage inventory much more tightly than they have in those previous years. Looking at the sales numbers from 2019, you can see here that 2019 totaled out with just over 218,000 units worldwide. Now, if we look at 2020, we will see that sales were down to 145,000 units worldwide. Here, in a slide showing the prediction for 2021, you can see that Harley Davidson is looking at about 180 to 190,000 units, which is still significantly lower than 2019. Before we move on from sales, I just want to give you some real perspective on the sales decline in the last 6 years. I bought my 2016 Street Glide Special at the end of 2015. Let's take a quick look at what unit sales were in 2015. 266,000 units, and Harley was on a slow decline already. I don't know the answer to getting this volume of sales back up over 250,000 units a year, but I sure hope Harley Davidson figures it out soon. Supply chain issues and the cost of raw materials and labor continue to be concerns for Harley Davidson. Let's listen to the CFO discuss the supply chain concerns as you look over this slide.
As mentioned previously, the global supply chain remains volatile, not only for our business, but across the global manufacturing sector. Our team has continued to do a great job navigating through the unprecedented challenges and demonstrating agility in managing production schedules to optimize output. We have continued to see increasing inflation within raw materials and all modes of freight, and we are forecasting this to continue at least through the balance of the year.
It looks like freight and warehousing, production and labor cost, and raw materials are all costing Harley-Davidson much more. If you watched my recap of the Harley-Davidson update last quarter, you might remember me talking about the surcharge they were introducing to temporarily help offset these expenses. Listen to this now.
Surcharges really were only effective in the U.S., so as we look beyond into 2022, the opportunity is to take that pricing surcharge model and look holistically across the portfolio.
Sounds like the surcharges may be expanding to other markets or just be dumped into the retail pricing going forward. Who would have ever thought they would do something like that? There is no slide for item number 4. But let's listen to the CEO announce this new strategy from Harley-Davidson.
With our pre-order system, our dealers are able to effectively create an integrated reservation system. This direct line of communications allows us to work through manufacturing allocations and improves the overall dealer visibility on orders. In Q4 this year, Harley-Davidson will officially launch a reservation process in the US and Canada to capture early demand on select 2022 models.
Now, we're going to listen to a response in the Q&A section where Harley-Davidson was asked a question regarding this new reservation system.
Our main goal is to ensure that our dealers are able to meet the customer's demand as they walk in the door, and that nobody leaves a dealership not being able to satisfy or have an answer on when they can have the product that they desire. So the reservation system will allow us to start that dialogue with the customer to be able to establish what exactly is the product of their interest, have the dealer engage with the customer along that journey, providing not only the opportunities, as Jochen mentioned, to customize and to engage more fully with the product, but also have a little bit more visibility as to where that product is in the production. It will allow us to also optimize our allocation processes and make sure that we start to target that demand more specifically in how we think about production, and ultimately ensure that the customer is able to get what they want as part of this process.
So I have some concerns about this new reservation strategy. Does it mean that dealers may have even less inventory on hand for you when you come in to look at a bike or to be able to purchase one on the spur of the moment? Does it mean inventory will be going out the door as soon as it arrives, as it's already been reserved by somebody? Ideally, I would hope dealers are ordering stock to go on the sales floor on top of the systems that are being ordered through this reservation system. But I have concerns that high demand models like the Pan America may be all sold through the reservation system and won't be available on the showroom floor otherwise. If Harley-Davidson actually does ramp up production to meet the customer demand based on the sales through this reservation system, then there might be additional inventories available for the showroom floor. But if they have a set number that they're going to produce no matter what, I can see all those systems being booked out through the reservation system only. And with the supply chain issues they're facing right now, I'm not sure they can ramp up production to meet demand even if they have this reservation system in place to help them anticipate high volumes of orders for a particular model. Lead-in electric was mentioned in the slide, but there was no mention of electric vehicles in the report anywhere. Remember, Harley-Davidson announced that they were spinning the LiveWire off to become its own brand, not just a model of motorcycle. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can watch this video here. I also recently did a video about 3 models that Harley-Davidson is cutting from the 2022 lineup, and I showed some screenshots of the colors that are being introduced in 2022. If you've not seen that video, I'll put a link to it in the description down below. But when you watch that video, you'll notice that the LiveWire is not mentioned in the paint information for 2022 models, which is to be expected, because technically the LiveWire is not a Harley-Davidson any longer. So do you think Harley-Davidson will continue to talk about electric vehicles now that the LiveWire has been spun off? Or do you think come 2022 that the mention of electric vehicles and leading in electric will just disappear from Harley-Davidson's strategic plan completely? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you found most interesting in this update. There you go. I got it done in less than 10 minutes. Big shout out to all my channel members for all your support. You guys rock, and I hope you enjoyed the early access to videos. Hey guys, if you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell, all that good stuff. Thank you guys, stay safe, and keep on riding.